He would tell me how awful of a person I am, um, calling me names, the gum on the bottom of his shoe. I started to believe it, and it would push me to such a dark place that I just couldn't get out of, and I would just stay in that spot for a while.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Roots podcast. I'm your host KD. Today we have a special guest. She's a content creator and she's a singer. Welcome, Dika. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Nice to be here.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you taking the time out. So to get straight to it, you were in a long, not saying no long, but you was in a one year relationship, and you said you felt love bombed. What suspiciously made it felt that way?
Things went way too fast, both mentally and physically. We didn't really get the
Yeah.
time to know each other before coming together a way that a couple would, before we actually started dating. He moved in with me after only knowing me for 2 months,
Damn.
um,
Okay.
because he had his own things going on to where he didn't know where he was gonna live. And so it was kind of like a panic moment for him and a convenience thing for him to move in with me. And it was a very huge step that usually people don't do even until they get married with someone.
Right. Nah, nah, that's understandable. Sound like you had a soft spot for him during that time. And looking back, what was he giving you emotionally that you weren't giving yourself yet?
Stability. He gave me some stability at the time that he moved in, and that's something that I grew up never having with my own family, is someone who's always there no matter what.
Okay, nah, it be like that. Sometimes you meet somebody, they give you that feeling that you wasn't receiving from loved ones. You know what I'm saying? And I can definitely understand that. So when did the verbal abuse start, and what changed in the relationship when it did?
So verbal abuse started, I'd say, about 4 or 5 months into the relationship. It started off with just really sneaky things that he would do, like he'd have nudes in his phone of him and another girl while we're together. I'd catch him talking to other girls in a very specific way that is a certain way that he would only should be talking to me. Um, the verbal abuse started mostly through silence, ignoring, kind of like narcissism, gaslighting, um, making me believe things that aren't true for the benefit of his own well-being. Um, he wasn't too verbally abusive, cussing wise or anything like that. It was more so mind games that he would play with me. It made me like really go crazy.
Damn, damn, damn. That's crazy. Like like when he was playing like mind games or saying hurtful words to you, did you ever start believing the things he said about you?
Oh yeah, yes, I did. I think because he was so close to me and I thought he was all I had at one point because me and my parents had completely cut each other off, no contact. So he was all that I had. So he was my lifeline, he was my support system. So anything that he said deeply affected me to a great extent. So whenever he would tell me that, for example, towards the end of the relationship, he would tell me how awful of a person I am, um, calling me names, the gum on the bottom of his shoe. I started to believe it, and it would push me to such a dark place that I just couldn't get out of, and I would just stay in that spot for a while.
Damn, so when people hear this, right? I'm not justifying his actions though. What Like he sounded like he was hurt. Is there anything you may have done for him to react that way?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna act innocent. I'm gonna be very authentic and real. We all make mistakes. I definitely made mistakes. Prior to that relationship, I was in another relationship for 4 years, and me and him were very toxic. He was way more verbally abusive than the second boyfriend. He wouldn't leave me alone even years after we broke up, and he kind of meddled into the second boyfriend and I's relationship by harassing me at work,
Damn.
continuously contacting me. I had to file a restraining order against him, which I had even told the second boyfriend. Um, what had happened is he was harassing me at work and wanted me to hear him out. And I ended up doing that. I let him talk, but then as soon as he was done talking, I left. So I didn't tell my boyfriend at the time about it because I knew he had cheated on me before already. So I didn't think he would believe me that that's all that happened. So I left it, blocked that person, filed a restraining order, and just left it where it was. I think where I messed up was I had lied about it and got caught up in the lie.
Damn. So did you when you got caught up in that lie, did you at least try to explain to him why you had lied?
Yeah. So at first, I didn't say anything, and then when he asked about it, I
Yeah.
lied and said it didn't happen. But once the
Yeah.
truth finally came out, I thought that the least that I could possibly do is fully explain myself and answer any questions that he had, so that there's closure for both him and me. So I explained everything. I had told him because before even that happened, I told him how unhappy I was because at the time he was unemployed the entire time we were together, the whole year, not a job. He wouldn't help too much around the house. I felt like it was all on me. And I felt like I was going to school, having 1 to 2 jobs at a time, trying to follow my dreams. And it felt like he was stuck in a place that he couldn't get out of and kind of pulling me down with him.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Y'all like the same age, or he a little older than you?
He's like a year older than me. So we're about the same age, yeah.
You during that time, did you kind of wish that, like, well, not wish, but did you expect him to have his shit together at the age y'all at during that time?
I didn't expect him to have everything figured out because to me, when you love someone, you expect to grow with them. Having that, I expected to have that ability, but we ended up
Okay.
growing apart.
Oh, okay. Cause see, I was finna comment on that because I ain't know where your head was at, and I ain't want to get off topic or make assumptions. Because sometimes most people at that age still trying to figure life out, you know. Because when you 22, you be way different when you 30. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, so that's why I had to ask. And did you think you stayed because you were afraid of losing him, or afraid of being alone with yourself?
definitely the second one. Mostly because I had mentally already let him go. I wasn't attracted to him anymore. I didn't want him to come around me. I didn't enjoy spending time with him anymore. I was just scared of having to face my own trauma and my own issues because I couldn't hide behind him anymore. Now I have to hide behind myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can relate to that because like when you be by yourself, like it give you like time to really look at yourself. It give you time to reflect. You know what I'm saying? With no distractions. And sometimes that it could be not say scary, but it could be very uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And when the relationship ended, who was the one to walk away? You or him?
It was him. He walked away.
Damn, you know that's rare to hear a man to me. Just me, just my opinion. It's rare to hear a man to walk away. Normally be the women. So what made him walk away?
It was the lie. It was him finding out that I lied. And then when I tried to explain it, he just assumed I cheated on him and all these other things when that didn't happen. And he just couldn't take that. But it felt really hurtful to me and a slap in the face to me because he had done much worse things than that one lie that I should have walked away from him for. So it was more so like, dang, he left me and I should have been walked away from him. Like it hurt even more my ego.
Mm, okay, okay, I can feel you on that one because you kind of felt like what you did was way worse, and compared to what I did, you tripping off that, you could have just stayed and we could have talked about it and walked and worked it out. No, 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 no. I definitely understand that. It's kind of strange to hear a woman say my ego was hurt because I don't normally hear that from women.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's funny. You grew up watching your father cheat. How did that shape the way you understood love as a child?
I think growing up watching my parents' relationship kind of warped love for me. But as I'm growing up, I'm realizing love does not look the same for every family, every couple, uh, whether it's a mother-child, father-child relationship, or two parents. Watching my parents was very hard because they were very toxic, so it actually set a pretty negative perspective on love for me. I thought love was supposed to hurt, cause you pain, and that's just a part of the journey, which is true to an extent, but not to the level of abuse and verbal abuse and mental block it can give someone and hurting them more than loving.
It makes sense because it's crazy because I grew up in a toxic environment and I thought that was normal with my parents. 'Cause my parents was married for some years. They got a divorce when I was a senior in high school. So certain things that I noticed, I thought it was normal. You know what I'm saying? And as when I got older, it helped me to doing it. When I started reflecting and when I started being in similar situations as my parents were in, I should say, I understood like the do's and the don'ts. If that makes sense. And
Yes.
so I'm assuming like the unhealthy relationship you were in, it felt familiar later on in life.
Very much so. I think the relationship I had with my ex was very non-communicative. Me and my family, my parents, they don't really talk things out. They just pretend it didn't happen. You know, something happened, my dad wandered off, cheated on my mom. My mom would just overlook it and pretend like, it's behind her and she doesn't know about it. She would play dumb in that sense just to keep the peace. And I feel like when you bottle all those emotions and those conversations up, they will explode later on in a negative way. So, for example, my all the hate and resentment my mom had towards my dad, she would end up letting out on me because she had nobody else to let it out on.
Damn, damn. And you ain't ever try to talk to your pops like, yo, like what you doing is affecting me because your wife is tripping and she taking your anger out on me, or how like you ever try to holler at him?
So he's been 2 years sober, which I'm very thankful, very proud of my father for choosing to be sober and not have a single drink, drop a drink in 2 years. But
Right.
up until I moved out, so for 18 years of my life and even longer than that, because my brothers, my dad was an alcoholic. He had alcoholism. So he was physically there, but mentally absent father. He was a mentally absent father. I treated him more like a friend and a brother than I did respect him as a father. And it wasn't until later on in my adult life that I actually saw him as a father because I was taking care of him as a child, making sure I'm hiding the alcohol from him, picking him up from bars, looking at where he's at, making sure he's not talking to women. So it felt more so that I was his mother than he was my father.
You know, it kind of be like that sometimes. Like the role will reverse. Like you be the parent and your parent become the child. And I understood now because you know that inner child they never healed. You know what I'm saying? And like it took me a long time to get to that point to understand my parents' behavior and it also helped me to forgive them too as well. So yeah. And have you ever tried to talk to your mother to work things out between you and her?
To an extent, to this day, she still has that same, in my opinion, and not in a negative way, very small mind. She's very small-minded, where talking things out just isn't something she's able to do. She still has that mindset where it happened in the past, it already happened, there's no need to talk about it, just move forward, which is a good mindset to have with certain things. But whenever you leave the hurt in the past and you don't unravel it and go through and understand it, you're not going to be able to learn from it. So I think that's kind of where her plateau, like she kind of has like a wall up.
Yeah.
So we talk. I still talk to her. I love my mother. She's my mom. I came from her. She wasn't, a deadbeat mom or anything. She still provided food and clothes for me growing up and an extent to the amount of love that she gave me in her own way. So I still talk to her and see her. It's just not very often, and I try not to spend longer than like an hour or two with her.
I understand. No, I understand. You know, yeah, it's crazy because like I think parents, it's crazy because it's like when my dad was alive and my mom, they both had that habit of when you're trying to talk to them about what took place in the past, they don't want to talk about it. And I realized that it's uncomfortable for them. I'll say with parents, not just my parents, but parents in general, it's uncomfortable for them because a lot of people don't know how to be in the hot seat. A lot of people don't know how to sit and take constructive criticism. You know what I'm saying?
Confrontation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of because like it was one of the things I confront my mom about. I was like, yo, like I felt that I struggled. You know, I had to wear the same clothes every week you know, I had to wear the same clothes to school every week. And she felt offended because she was like, well, I took care of you. I did all these things. But I'm like, you're not hearing me. Like, you know, but later on down the line, we talked about it. And she said, you know, that was never my intention to hurt you. But I understand, you know, but from her perspective, I understood because it was easy for her to sit and listen to how I felt. And last question about your mother. Did you feel like she was kind of like jealous of you at one point or no?
Yes, and I've had a few conversations with a couple of my friends actually, and we all kind of had a similar consensus agreement that it is pretty common to see mother and daughters kind of clash, especially whenever there's one daughter. So for me, I'm the only daughter and I'm the littlest of my family, and my mom and me butt heads all the time. It felt like growing up, she was trying to live through me in a certain way to prevent me from making similar mistakes as her, which is a good thing a parent should do. But whenever you go overboard with it and you want to control a lot of things, it kind of takes away their personality. So I feel like I didn't even know much about myself, what I like, what I don't like throughout high school when I was living at home with my mom, because she was doing everything for me. If I didn't wear an outfit she wanted me to wear that day, we would have an argument. It would ruin the whole day.
Hey, I see. I see. You know, I hear that from a lot of women that I meet. Some women where they be like, you know, they don't have good relationships with their mother because of jealousy or some type of envy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah. Damn. That's crazy. That's crazy. But you know, that's good that you still keep it pushing and still showing her respect. It's not easy to do. You were sexually assaulted at 6. As an adult now, what do you understand about that experience that you couldn't back then?
Um, for a long time, it was trauma. I trauma blocked it, so I actually didn't remember most of it. It was a very visually tripping thing for me because you're little, you don't know what sex is, you don't know the rights or wrongs. I hadn't had that talk yet of, oh, don't go with strangers, don't, someone touches you, make sure you tell us. Nobody said anything to me. So I'm 6 years
Yeah.
old. I'm still very young. Nobody expects a 6-year-old child to go through that. But I was coming home from school and I used to ride the bus. I'm in kindergarten at this point, I believe, kindergarten and first grade. I get off the bus and my neighbor has a nephew that was staying with them because he got out of prison and he's on the sex offender list. And those
Mm.
neighbors didn't let anyone know in our neighborhood that they had a sex offender living with them. So it was definitely that person, the owner of that house's responsibility, in my opinion, to make sure that families who have children in their house are aware that there's a sex offender there so that they, lock the doors, keep a lookout, you know, not in a way to just judge him right off the bat, but protect your children. And he didn't do that. So that sex offender had met me and waited for me to get off the bus and just grabbed me, took me into the house. He raped me and then he literally threw me over the rock wall back into my backyard.
Damn, that's crazy. And when that
Yeah, so
happened, I'll go ahead.
So looking back at that, I think it definitely changed my perception of relationships as well, and how I am with my body and how I take care of myself. For the longest time, I didn't want anyone to come near me. I had a problem with even teachers touching me, like even on the shoulder. Like I didn't want anyone to come near me. It affected my affection towards my parents. I didn't want them to kiss me on the cheek, didn't want hugs and stuff like that for a while. And that was something I had to kind of get over growing up, even as a young teen, like 14, 15. And then it can also, I've seen in other women, make them very hypersexual or asexual growing up, meaning they either go too much where they just start going at it or they don't want, like they don't have sex ever again. I've heard different stories from other women.
See, you don't feel if you don't feel comfortable sharing this, but did it like made you hypersexual or made you not want to do it if you don't mind sharing?
It made me not want to do anything for a long time. And then as I kind of hit like college, I think it actually made me hypersexual because I got raped the second time in my life in
Yeah.
college. So I think the second time made me go the other way. And it also made my self-esteem go far down because
Mm.
when I look at people, I don't know how to explain it. It's this certain intuitive feeling where I can see lust, almost like a gargoyle sitting on the guy's shoulders when they look at me. Not when they look at me with genuine and authenticity. It's more like I want that in my bedroom. And so it made me super hyper aware of that look, that very lustful look that men get. And it made me very hyper aware of that and almost disgusted in a way.
Yeah. No, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Damn, I'm sorry you have to go through that. And why are you sharing this with me? Like, all I'm thinking about is your parents. Like, where were your parents was at when all this happened? You said this happened to you twice at 6 and when you was in college. So that started when you was 6 years old. Like, where were your parents at? Did you share to your parents what had happened?
So when I was six, my mom, she was very busy. She's a real estate agent, so she was super busy with work all the time. And my dad, he's a pretty much a blue collar worker. So they
Okay.
both were at work. So what they would do, which now looking back at it, made me a little resentful towards them too, like to kind of another thing to forgive them for, because they're giving a 6-year-old child a house key that they put underneath a certain place, and they're expecting me to walk a couple blocks from the bus all the way to the house and wait for them there.
Mm.
So my parents was at work, and by the time my mom came back, my mom actually visually saw the guy throw me over the rock wall. And my mom was worried about me because I was missing when she came home from work. So she would run around the block yelling for my name, screaming bloody murder. So my mom knew what happened, but they didn't do anything about it because I didn't talk about it at all to them. Because I didn't understand what happened to me. I didn't know if it was wrong or not. I mean, I was in pain. I didn't really do anything about it.
Damn. So, but did you eventually tell them what happened, or you just always kept that to yourself?
I told them, but I was probably like 14 or 15 when I told them what happened.
Oh.
So by then, I think actually, well, I'm not 100% sure to fact check this, but I think that guy ended up getting a second charge for molesting other children like after that.
Damn. So, and when the second time happened, like, you ever told them what happened with that, or you just kept it to yourself?
Yeah, so when it happened, it actually happened in my freshman dorm, by a friend. My own friend actually did that to me. And so when it happened, the first thing that happened was my roommate found me because I was strangled. My whole neck was just black. I had cuts all over my body and stuff.
Mm.
My roommate found me, and I actually told her that I was raped and that she needs to call the police. So the police went ahead and
Mm.
came, and the first thing they did was call my parents. So my parents were there right after it happened. It was really late at night. It was like 12, maybe 1 in the morning. So they were woken up by that call and came to my aid. They were with me when I went to the hospital, through all the tests and all that stuff.
So you have to go through all that. That's very crazy. And you going through all that, how did that, like, how long did it took for you to overcome that trauma?
I'd say it's an ongoing thing. I think that those two incidents is something you have to kind of deal with for the rest of your life. I've had nightmares. I've had most I had sleep paralysis as a child and it came back after that incident. So even to this day, every now and again I have sleep paralysis and dreams where I can't breathe because I was strangled. Um I haven't thankfully seen that person in public. They wouldn't allow me to get a restraining order because I had blocked him on everything, so he had no way to contact me. So there was no him trying to reach me is what they needed to do a restraining order, so I couldn't get one, even though that he did that to me.
Damn, so
So
you ain't charged personal charges or nothing like that?
they couldn't prove that he did it. So they didn't have enough evidence, but they found his wallet, his keys, his underwear, and his belt in my dorm. And so they still, because right after what they usually do is called a SANE test. So they go, um, put a certain insert inside of a woman and see if there's any sperm left over from it. But immediately after that happened, I felt very disgusting. So I rubbed my skin until I was bleeding. And because I cleaned myself up, I cleaned out everything. So whenever the same test came back, it was negative. There was nothing in there.
Damn, that's just crazy. And so, like, what is the hardest part about talking openly about sexual abuse that people don't understand?
I personally don't find it hard at all. I'd say when it first happened, it was really hard because it felt embarrassing,
Yeah.
almost like I felt used up, like I'm telling people such a personal and vulnerable thing that they look at me different and scared of judgment. But I think once I spent so much time alone, because the assault happened in 2024. So 2025, I was alone. I didn't really have much friends. I didn't go out much. I just spent as much time alone as I possibly could for reflection and growing within myself and overcoming that. Um, and I realized that I really don't care what other people have to say and that this is my truth. And if me going through that experience can help another woman going through it, telling her to keep pushing, that she doesn't feel alone like I did.
No, that's dope because that's not an easy thing to talk about. 'Cause a lot of people, a lot of women don't. I'm not gonna say that correctly, but basically, when women come out talking about that publicly, a lot of people don't believe them. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you open to talk about it, that's dope, and importantly too, it can help the next person. You know what I'm saying? And when did you decide your trauma wasn't going to control your future?
I would say after me and my ex had broken up, because the assault happened and that was another thing too. I was with my boyfriend at the time that I got assaulted. So he also got a call and came and was there with me at the hospital, which I was very grateful for that he was there for me during that time because I was so fragile. And he did help me kind of push through and try to be my support system at that time. So I do thank him for that even to this day. Always will. But I feel like we like trauma bonded and he felt like he couldn't leave after that because 11 months into the relationship, almost a year, he sat me down and said he wasn't ready for a relationship, but he got in one anyway because he felt bad.
That's what he told you.
Yes. Yeah, that is what he told me.
Damn, that's like a slap in the face.
Right? Spent 11 months of my time, love, and everything, and it felt like it was for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, I mean, no, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, some people come in your life for a lesson or a blessing. Sounds like that was just a lesson for you, and all the things that you overcame. Is that what inspired your short film about overcoming obstacles?
Yes. So at the beginning of this year, I decided like in mid-December that 2026 is going to be a huge year for me. I love being on camera. I love sharing. I'm a very open book. They're like, if you want to know anything about me, you just ask. I have no problem communicating anything about me. I want to put my creativity out there because I felt like I bottled everything up when I was with him. And because of the trauma I've been through, I was so scared of people judging me and not pushing myself out there. So I decided 2026 is going to be my year to put my talents to use and for the good of my own future kids and others that come across it to feel inspired.
Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope that you're not, man. It's crazy because I met people, or I run into people, and they allow their trauma to keep them stuck. You know what I'm saying? So for you to even using your trauma as art says a lot about your character. And what I want to do, and one thing I do want to ask you is, how do you feel since you start expressing your trauma to other people? Because from my own experience, a certain trauma that happened to me, I hold it in, and it'll bother me for a long time. But I said until I started sharing it with other people, I feel like a burden came off my shoulders. Was that like that for you as well?
Yes, very much so. I think putting all this anger and sadness and stuff and putting it into music, into writing a short film, into modeling, into acting, it's like a huge weight lifted off my chest that I can finally be able to breathe and not think of it as something to be ashamed of, rather than something to be proud that that turns you into who you are now.
Yeah, no, I can respect that. I can respect that because a lot of people who hold their past and they blame their circumstance on why they couldn't be successful or how come they couldn't overcome. Well, my dad, for prime example, when his father passed, like I felt that he had. I just feel like my dad, father passing, put him in a mind frame to where he couldn't live life no more. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you still continue to live your life after all the things you went through says a lot about, like I said, says a lot about your character. What's your message to someone who having a hard time overcoming their trauma of being abused and being in a toxic relationship?
I think the biggest piece, in the simplest way I could put it, is you become a complete masterpiece when you learn how to masterpiece.
Hey, that's a bar. That's a bar.
I think when you have self-reflection and you look deep into the trauma, and even though you're looking in a black hole, still try to find the light. And once you find that light and you hold on to it, true, absolute essence of peace, nobody could disturb.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And no, that's dope. That's dope. You sharing that with me, giving me more motivation to keep going with my life. You know what I'm saying? Because, I've been battling with a lot of bitterness. I've been battling with a lot of unforgiveness. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. And have you forgave those people who done those things to you?
Absolutely. The first thing that I did was my dad and my boyfriend at the time, they both wanted to actually go and commit murder. They wanted to kill him. And the first thing that happened, and this was a really huge bonding point between me and my father, and I feel like he also, at the same time as I did, let go of all his anger because of something I said to him. And he even tells me now that he's super grateful that I had that reaction when he had asked me, because he came up to me and said, "Tell me whatever you want me to do to him, and I will do it. Whatever you say." Chopping off his arms, legs, anything. And he was real about it. My dad has been to prison before. He doesn't mind going back for his little girl, you know? And I understood that in his perception, he's a father and he feels like he's supposed to protect him. Whenever that protection is compromised, you get super angry and you just want to hurt somebody, right? So the first thing I told him is I sat him down and I said, the only thing I want you to do for him is just pray for him. And he sat back and he was shocked that I said that. He was expecting me to say some really like diabolical things that I would want my dad to do to him. And I just asked him to pray for him and pray for forgiveness, that he's forgiven for his own sins, because what he did was evil.
Right.
And but I gotta remember the devil is a thief, he's a liar, a deceiver, and at the end of that day, the guy who committed that crime to me, he's still made in the image of God. He's still God's child. He's still another human being who has feelings. He has a purpose. And all I can do is pray that his mindset changes and that he lets God into his heart so he could change for the better. So he doesn't do that to someone else. And even later down the road, actually help someone else and prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I know that's deep. Damn. Damn, you got some. Yeah, yeah, you left me a little speechless. I ain't gonna lie because I don't have any children, but if this was my niece, I don't know. If she told me not to do nothing, I'm still might do it. I ain't gonna lie.
And
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that's crazy. That's yeah. No, I applaud you for having that for having God as your center, and that's something I've been working on. I got baptized recently, and I've been working on my relationship with God, and it been giving me that comfort that I needed. Helped me to have a better clarity of other people behavior. You know what I'm saying? So that's good that you got that foundation. And my last question: how can people can find your music?
So I will be releasing my music February 26th. So it'll be this month. I suggest just following my Instagram. So my Instagram handle is gonna be 1_800, so that's 800 underscore Deeka, Deeka. So in my bio on my Instagram, it says Blue Moons releasing February 26th. Blue Moons is the name of my album that I'll be releasing. I will put a link there to my Spotify account when I come up with it, because I'm gonna be releasing it on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, all platforms. But it's all gonna be centered from Instagram. So if you follow my Instagram, you'll be able to listen to my music as soon as it comes out because I'll be putting it on there. Same thing with my short film. My short film, whenever it comes out, probably won't come out till later this year, towards like maybe March, April, May, because we still have storyboarding and shot list to go through before we start actually filming, and then editing process is gonna take a while. But any of my content, including music, acting, modeling, will be on my Instagram.
Okay. No, okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I'm a firm believer. I heard a sermon. It says, God have a purpose for you, and the devil have a purpose against you. So keep doing what you're doing. Whatever I can do to help, please let me know. And I appreciate you for taking this time out to share your story. And like I said, whatever I can do to help to promote whatever you got going on, please let me know.
And you as well. Whenever you're actually gonna post this, let me know so I can reshare it, share it to other people, have other people listen to the podcast, get thoughts and stuff of what they think about it, maybe some constructive criticism for both me and yourself. I would love to post it on my social media and support you as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would love to collab with you again. Yeah, for sure.